and just one of the treasures of the Vatican museums. The decision in 1780 to open those museums to the general public, regardless of religion, was revolutionary.
There is a painting of the man who opened that museum, Pope Pius VI, giving a tour to King Gustav III of Sweden, who they were religiously on the opposite ends of the spectrum. But you see this painting of the two of them walking side by side, standing under the statues. That's what the museums are. They are a platform of dialogue.
Because you don't have to be Catholic, you don't have to be Christian to look at the tapestry of the risen Christ and marvel at it.
That's what's about. 1780, they opened it, I mean, to everybody. We have sketches of people coming in there. You see men with big turbans, assuming that they're Muslims.
The Vatican museums have a great history of openness.
Exactly.
Today, the Vatican museums comprise one of the largest collections in the world, 3.5 miles of museum, and the first of its magnitude to have a woman as director, Barbara Yatta. When you found out that you'd been appointed the director of the Vatican museums, what was your reaction?
Astonishment, absolutely.
Caring for these treasures is equal parts art and science.
A huge part of the work of the museum is conservation, preservation, and restoration. Almost 100 people in 7 different conservatory labs are working permanently in the museum.
On projects like the restoration of this oil painting by Raphael in the Hall of Constantine.
Well, as a restorer, you have to be humble. You have to accept that what you're working on is much greater and it's much more important than the work you do.
Overseeing this restoration, Professor Arnold Nesselrath. What is the genius of Raphael?
What he does with the light, how he translates the light into painting. This is, I think, the masterpiece in this room. It's the last we have of Raphael when he dies at the age of 37. And it's also the idea of what we lost. And it makes us understand why the whole of Rome was sad when they heard on Good Friday in 1520 that he died.
How did he die?
Contemporaries say from too much love.
Too much love? Like he just said it had too much sex?
That's the impression that his biographers give to posterity.
He just exhausted himself?
That's what they say.
He really lived life to the fullest for at least a short time. Have you ever discovered something that really surprised you?
Well, we discovered the beams that came from the New World.
That's right, beams.
Which the workmen who applied the plaster and had fallen into the plaster, when they then took the plaster and smashed it to the wall and smoothed it over, the beams remained in there.
Wow, well it's nice to know that Americans played such a vital part in the creation of this. Yeah. And today, Americans pay for much of the restoration through the Vatican's Patrons of the Arts program.
These works of art belong to the whole world. We only hold them as a custodian, as a steward. They belong to everybody.
On the day we were in the Basilica with Cardinal Dolan, it was beautifully illuminated for the Feast of the Chair of Peter.
You look up and see that magnificent, encrusted with bronze and iron chair. The chair represents unity in teaching, and so the successor of Peter, the Pope, his chair there.
All the threads and the roads of the Vatican lead back to the presence of Peter. We are perhaps the most beautiful outgrowth and offshoot, at least in art and architecture, that comes from that seed that was planted 2,000 years ago.
Geographically, Vatican City may be small, but just like Bernini's colonnade in St. Peter's Square, its arms open wide to the world.